Moving on to earnings season now. We've had some big companies start announcing, had a few big companies last week. If you wouldn't mind just taking us back to some of those big companies and how the markets reacted.
I think it was interesting. We saw both Netflix and Tesla put earnings out. These are the companies that I see as being quite sensitive to consumer demand. If you're a bit tight on money, are you going to cancel your Netflix subscription? Are you going to push back buying that new Tesla? Quite possibly these are the things that hit. Mixed bag on both of them, but there were disappointments against expectations. Netflix lost $20 billion on its market cap last month, despite subscriber numbers being up. There's these expectations misses. Forecasts for Q3 weren't as good as analysts had been hoping for, and the market really jumped on it. I think that's symptomatic of the inflated values we're seeing for an awful lot of US stocks, even now monetary policy is normalising. It was long said in through the last decade and a half that, it's so cheap to borrow money, people are just investing it in stock. Well, now it's more expensive to borrow money. We've still got that inflated trade, but when you see a miss, people are jumping on it hard. Conversely, of course, we had Johnson & Johnson out last week, and their stock rose 6% off the back of the earnings. So impressive numbers. It's not all one-way traffic, and the market is still more than happy to pile in with some gusto if those numbers look impressive.
Looking forward then, we've got some big tech names announcing. What companies are you looking forward to for the end of this week?
I think a key one in that tech sphere is going to be Intel. They've got numbers due on Friday morning, I believe. And, again, that's quite a good indicator. They've got a big sort of enterprise focus as well as the retail arm. So any slowdown there would be quite telling in terms of business investment. So that could have a wider impact on the market. We've also got Ford. They're due to report quarterly earnings later this week. Again, there's that consumer discretionary aspect. What are they doing in EVs? I know that's created a lot of excitement in the past when the likes of Ford and General Motors have updated the market and said, hey, this is our plan to try and beat Tesla. And rightly so, you look at the Tesla valuation, that's no surprise. So I think there's a potential for some big moves there. But I think the overriding message for earnings, especially US earnings at the minute, is, you've got to be prepared for quite a wild ride off the back of that print. If you're looking at a position, you might want to scale it back, or you might want to get some stops in place or whatever. You don't want to go into this blind thinking, I'll ride it out, because the risk of a 10% move, even on the biggest stocks, cannot be discounted.
There's also Procter and Gamble, wasn't there, later this week?
That's right. Yeah. So again, good on the consumer discretionary. It's more, I guess, a defensive play. People need to buy their toothpaste regardless of whether they're feeling flush or not. It's they can hold off on that Tesla for a couple of months, but when the toothpaste tube's empty, you need to go and fill it up. So again, I think anything that we see there, likely price action might well come off the back of how much are they having to discount by? What are the margins looking like against the comparatives? And as I say, with Johnson & Johnson in a similar sort of area, if they impress, if they look resilient, and especially maybe if people are thinking, well, what are the defensive stocks to be going for? The right signals out of the earnings later this week could well give them a nice little boost.
Lovely stuff. I think there's also some energy companies later in the week. How do you see the outlook for energy? Obviously, they had the massive rally post-invasion, post-Russia invasion into Ukraine. Then they've tapered off a little bit as people have rotated back into kind of big tech. Do you see there being a rotation back into energy, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we've got the pressing situation, which has really come to the fore this year with that extreme heat in the southwest of the US, across a lot of Europe as well. Climate change is a reality. I think it's, this isn't waving an agenda flag or whatever. We're not used to seeing these kinds of extremes on either side of the Atlantic. So there's going to be a lot done there. I think the US being the US, the companies over there will be insulated from any overly aggressive government intervention. and obviously we've seen the attempts at the windfall taxes in the UK, which again don't really cut it once you look at how you can work your way around it. But they're going to have to be cognizant of what they're saying in terms of acknowledging that, things need to be done, and how we account for that going forward. Demand for energy in a hot climate is actually going to increase. You're going to need to keep things cool instead of keeping them warm. It's just going to be different, a different set of circumstances you're working against. So I think they have that defensive quality. It's whether would you actually ever see such a wholesale move that people walk away from the asset class, or unless there's real, not hearsay change, but actually real meaningful change, will that be part of the investment decision? I don't think that'll ever be the situation, because at the end of the day, fund managers have got fiduciary duties to their investors, as do pension funds, all this kind of stuff. They need to hit target returns, and if that starts to happen, well, these companies are suddenly trading at a discount. Buy in, load up, and go again. So it's going to be difficult for them. They're going to have a challenging story in terms of ensuring that they can talk around the issue and message it in a vaguely appropriate manner. But with so many of them being based in the US, and the US being that very, very free economy, I don't think there's any real political threat.
Brilliant stuff. Great insights today. Thank you, Tony. I think that's my last question for today. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and join us for next time.